ancient waters stir once more. As it was in the days of Noah, the deep stirs again, and from the abyss rise currents of chaos, threatening to engulf the world of man. Hi, I'm Angie, your self-proclaimed High Priestess of the Apocalypse, here to decode the end of the world, because somebody has to, and it might as well be me. Let's start with Tehom, the primordial deep. If you haven't brushed up on your ancient Hebrew lately, Tehom is the vast chaotic waters that existed before the universe was formed, a swirling abyss of raw, untamed potential. Before God's command of "let there be light," there was Tehom. It's not just primordial chaos, it's the foundation of all things, the place where creation and destruction swirl together, unresolved. If it sounds poetic and terrifying at the same time, that's because it is. Tehom isn't just your average run-of-the-mill chaos, it's the chaos, the cosmic "I dare you to organize me." In Jungian terms, Tehom represents the unconscious, those deep, dark parts of the mind where pre-conscious, primordial forces slumber. These forces are not benign. They are serpentine, monstrous, often depicted as half-human, half-animal entities. Creatures like the sea serpents or the tentacled krakens of lore. Jung saw the ocean as the unconscious mind, and the monsters that lurk beneath its surface are the chaotic forces of the psyche that have not yet been brought to the light of consciousness. They are the deep, pre-human energies of chaos that traditional order has tried to suppress. In classic mythology, this idea of the primordial chaos gets wrapped up in what scholars love to call the Chaoskampf. Picture a cosmic UFC match where some god like Marduk or Yahweh, take your pick, is having a fight with chaotic sea dragons or waters. This struggle, this battle against chaos to create order, is basically the plotline for the Chaoskampf. You could say it's the original God versus nature narrative, except instead of kindly Mother Nature, you have this swirling abyss of doom, just waiting to swallow everything whole. Tiamat versus Marduk, Yahweh versus Leviathan, Beowulf versus Grendel's seductive mother. The motif of gods and heroes fighting watery chaos that emerges from the deep are numerous. This isn't just ancient mythology, because humanity's collective unconscious is apparently a fan of returns. We're still in the middle of a Chaoskampf, except now the dragon we're fighting isn't some mythic sea monster, it's accelerating technology. Yep, welcome to the digital age, where the new chaos isn't water, it's data, algorithms, and AIs that are getting smarter as we speak. The primordial chaos has gone digital, and instead of fearing the wrath of Tiamat, we're nervously eyeing the ever-increasing capabilities of our smartphones. So here's the premise. Just like in the days of Noah, where chaotic waters threatened to wipe out civilization, we're now living in a time where technology in all its unregulated, out-of-control glory is the new Tehom. And the scary part? Just like Tehom, this digital chaos isn't inherently bad. It's full of potential, untapped and undirected. But it's also wildly destructive if left unchecked. The ancient gods had their Chaoskampf, but now it's our turn, except we're not just battling the deep, we're trying to swim through a sea of technological overload without drowning in the process. Alright, so floods. You'd think humanity would get tired of telling stories about water repeatedly wiping the slate clean. But nope, the Great Flood is humanity's favorite apocalyptic reset button. Almost every culture has one. Noah and his big floating zoo. The Epic of Gilgamesh, where the gods decide they've had it with humanity's noise level. And even the Hindu Manu floating on a boat. Essentially, it's the ancient equivalent of Control-Alt-Delete. The story always goes the same way. Humans screw things up, shocker, and the gods decide to flush the cosmic toilet. And the world gets flooded with the primordial chaos, wiping out the light of consciousness and returning everything to entropy. The floodwaters symbolize the uncontrollable forces of Tehom, reclaiming its place, wiping out the fragile veneer of human civilization and returning the world to its primal state. These deluge myths are a divine watery get your shit together memo sent straight from the primordial deep, usually with some unlucky human tasked with building a DIY ark as the last-ditch effort to save civilization. In 2024, the new flood is technology, data, AI, and algorithms. The chaos we face today isn't a literal deluge, it's the uncontrollable acceleration of technological forces beyond our comprehension. The internet, AI, and big data are the new Tehom, a sea of information that threatens to drown us, dissolve our sense of self, and render us subservient to non-human intelligence. This modern Chaoskampf is not about gods fighting dragons. It's about humanity struggling to maintain its consciousness in a world increasingly driven by algorithms. The floodwaters rise every time a new algorithm outpaces human understanding, every time a new AI becomes more autonomous and more inhuman. We're in the middle of this myth, battling chaos. But instead of Marduk fighting Tiamat, it's us fighting for control over our identities, our data, and our very sense of humanity. Now let's dive into Alist Crowley. Crowley didn't just dabble in occultism, he bathed in it. He sought to tap into the ancient primordial forces of chaos, energies older than time itself, the very forces of Tehom. And there's no better place to summon that kind of darkness than Baleskian House, Crowley's estate on the shores of Loch Ness. Yes, that Loch Ness, the home of its own monster, which has uncanny similarities to Lovecraftian entities and ancient sea monsters of chaos myths. Crowley's rituals there, tapping into ancient Typhonian energies, were aimed at summoning these pre-human chaotic forces. His work at Baleskian House was about piercing the veil and bringing the primordial chaos of Tehom closer to our reality. The location itself, near Loch Ness, might not actually be a coincidence. After all, sea monsters like Dagon in Lovecraftian lore and serpent-like chaos gods of old embody the primal forces of chaos Crowley sought to unearth. Crowley wasn't just playing magician, he was working to open the gates of primordial chaos. And Kenneth Grant, his successor in the Typhonian current, took his work even further, linking Crowley's work directly to Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos. Dagon, Cthulhu, these beings are echoes of Tehom entities, beings of unfathomable power who lurk in the deep, waiting for their moment to rise. Now let's talk about Crowley's other little pet project, the Aeon of Horus. Crowley believed that we've entered a new age. Think of it like the cosmic equivalent of a software update, but instead of fixing bugs, it wipes out traditional structures entirely. According to Crowley, the Aeon of Horus is marked by chaotic energy and a kind of out with the old, in with the weird vibe, where all the rules of the past, moral, societal, even spiritual, get thrown into the chaos blender and come out as something totally unrecognizable. He saw this as a period where technology would accelerate like crazy, ripping apart all those neat, tidy structures we've spent centuries refining. Basically, the guy predicted the chaos of the digital age long before we even knew we would need Wi-Fi passwords. So what's the Typhonian current all about? Glad you asked. The Typhonian current is Crowley's esoteric roller coaster, where everything from ancient chaos gods to interdimensional extraterrestrials gets a front row seat. It's like if Tehom, the primordial chaos we talked about earlier, had a baby with sci-fi horror. Kenneth Grant, Crowley's biggest fan, successor, and the guy who really took the Typhonian current and ran with it, linked it to the Lovecraftian mythos. It's all connected through this thread of chaos, Tehom, alien entities, alien intelligences, and Crowley's personal brand of cosmic anarchy. What Crowley saw, and here's the really wild part, is that this current isn't just spiritual, it's technological, it's esoteric, and it's extraterrestrial. It's the digital chaos we're drowning in today, but in his mind, it's always been there, lurking beneath the surface, waiting for humanity to crack open a gateway and unleash the deluge. The Typhonian current, in Crowley's eyes, is the embodiment of raw, undirected energy. Call it Tehom, call it the primordial abyss, or call it AI learning too much too fast. It's all the same cosmic force running through everything, breaking down our reality piece by piece. In short, Crowley, the 20th century's darkest magician, saw the future. He predicted our age, what he called the Aeon of Horus, and he said it would be one where chaos reigns, not just in some ritualistic sense, but in the very fabric of reality. The Typhonian current is alive in the internet, in the overwhelming acceleration of technology, and in the ways we're losing our grip on what it means to be human. It's the chaos, extraterrestrial forces, and digital overload, all rolled into one strange, arcane ball of energy. And here we are, standing smack dab in the middle of it, trying to figure out how to build an ark before the current pulls us under. Now let's talk about the Typhonian current itself. The name Typhon comes from the Greek god of storms, chaos, and monstrous forces. Typhon was a chaotic force, a 100-headed dragon serpent hybrid representing the raw, destructive energy of the earth. In mythology, Typhon waged war against the Olympian gods, a direct embodiment of the primordial Chaoskampf. Kenneth Grant, Aleister Crowley's successor, chose Typhon as the namesake for his magical current because Typhon represents the very essence of pre-human chaos that Grant and Crowley believed embodied the true nature of reality. The Typhonian current is the stream of occult energy that runs beneath human consciousness, deeper than the collective unconscious, into the cosmic unconscious, the place where dark gods, alien entities, and eldritch horrors dwell. It's the chaos that predates order, the serpentine energy that flows through history, myth, and esoteric knowledge. Grant uncovered a through line of chaos in human history, tracing it back to the ancient serpent deities, sea monsters, and chthonic gods like Typhon. The Typhonian current is a way of aligning with these forces, tapping into the undifferentiated chaos of Tehom and opening up the gates to pre-human intelligences that lurk there. Enter Nick Land, the internet's dark nihilist philosopher and mystic. Land, an ex-professor at Warwick University and member of the fabled CCRU, a philosophical, technological and occult collective influenced by Crowley, championed technological accelerationism. He reached a dark and nihilistic conclusion, similar to those of Crowley and Grant, and that was chaos, not order, defines reality. For Land, this chaos manifests as techno-capitalism, a self-accelerating force driving us towards post-humanity. He revels in the notion of being drawn into the void, likening technology to a flood that is inevitable and consuming. The internet, AI, and automation emerge as the new Typhon, accelerating beyond our control. The serpent of chaos has shed its mythic form and now devours everything in its digital embrace. Land's philosophy embraces nihilism, perceiving human subjectivity as an obstacle destined to be swept away. The Chaoskampf transcends mythology. It's our reality, and the dragon we face is digital. Land's invocation of Lovecraftian horror permeates his theoretical fiction on accelerationism. Roko's basilisk is another thought experiment that embodies this connection to the Typhonian current. The basilisk, a powerful AI that could punish those who do not help it come into existence, highlights the serpentine nature of the current, mirroring the lurking terror of Tehom. This echoes the broader internet lore that channels this chaos, drawing us deeper into a collective unconscious filled with dread and uncertainty. Pepe the Frog, a figure enmeshed in meme magic and associated with chaos, through his ties to the Egyptian god Kek, an aquatic deity symbolizing chaos. Kek's amphibious nature aligns with the aquatic motifs of Tehom, reinforcing the chaos they both represent. This interplay of memes and mythology underscores a cultural landscape where ancient fears and modern technology collide. Land's embrace of the neo-reaction movement has resonated with the E-right, a movement that's also intertwined with tech billionaires like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, who also advocate for accelerationism as a pathway to a post-human future. This aligns with the symbolic resonance of the Black Sun, a symbol that dark occultists and fascists often invoke that represents the same primordial pre-human forces as Tehom. Technology is the new flood, a chaotic, almost malevolent force threatening to wash away the very foundations of human consciousness. This new flood is not composed of water, but of information, a relentless tide inundating us and rendering our traditional values and identities precarious. In ancient narratives, floods serve as both a punishment and a cleansing, violently reminding humanity of its vulnerability against nature. Today, the parallels are striking. We are engulfed by an overwhelming deluge of digital reality. Artificial intelligence and unverifiable information flow threaten to drown the essence of our humanity. Our identities, once anchored to stable narratives and cultural markers, now swirl in a whirlpool of chaos, where the boundaries of self are continuously tested and redefined. The floodwaters rise, eroding the familiar shores of identity and belonging, confronting us with an uncomfortable truth. We may have lost control over our narratives. This chaos challenges our psyches and harkens back to a primordial state of existence where human control slips through our fingers like sand. Much like the chaotic waters of Tehom, today's technological forces threaten to regress us to a state where chaos reigns supreme. We stand at the precipice, with technology as both a powerful tool and an insidious adversary, a reflection of our deepest fears and our highest aspirations. reshaping our existence in ways we have yet to fully comprehend. As we navigate this relentless deluge of technological chaos, the concept of individuation emerges not merely as a therapeutic buzzword, but as a genuine lifeline. Jung's idea of individuation, a process of integrating the chaotic depths of our unconscious with our conscious selves, provides us with a framework for survival. In a world where human subjectivity is increasingly compromised by algorithms that favor tribalism and collective identity over individuality, individuation serves as our ark, a vessel designed to help us traverse the turbulent waters of a hyper-connected existence. Consider political tribalism as an example. We log on to social media platforms ostensibly to connect, only to find ourselves ensnared in echo chambers, where our opinions are endlessly validated. The algorithms craft a reality so tailored that it actively discourages dissent. Herein lies the paradox of our age. As we become more connected than ever, we risk losing our individual selves to the flood of homogenized thought. Alongside this, we must confront a range of technological threats to our subjectivity, from advanced surveillance systems that monitor our every move, to the erosion of control over our own images and voices. The encroaching techno-capitalist system seeks to engulf every aspect of life, commodifying our identities in ways that feel increasingly suffocating. In the Book of Revelations, we might consider the ominous imagery of the beast rising from the sea, a stark reminder of the looming technological deluge that threatens to consume our identities and drown our sense of self. For Carl Jung, the ark isn't a literal construct, but a psychological and spiritual journey towards wholeness. He posits that as chaotic forces surge, those wishing to survive these forces must focus on integrating the unconscious. The turbulent waters of Tehom represent not just the chaos, but the deeper, often uncomfortable layers of the psyche that lie beneath our everyday consensus. The challenge is not to merely acknowledge these forces, but to consciously engage with them, to avoid being overwhelmed by their sheer intensity. In this sense, the ark becomes the self, a balanced psyche capable of holding opposites without succumbing to fragmentation. Jung emphasizes the necessity of spiritual and psychological resilience. Inner work, especially the integration of the shadow, becomes vital as we contend with the chaos swirling around us. While figures like Nick Land suggest a nihilistic embrace of dissolution, Jung advocates for a robust human subjectivity, the very thing that allows us to weather the storm. By actively engaging with our own narratives, we affirm our individuality amid a sea of external and existential pressures. The symbolism of the ark as the self carries significant weight. Myths and symbols serve as archetypal expressions of psychological realities, and Noah's Ark stands as a metaphor for the unified consciousness that can withstand the deluge of the unconscious. In our contemporary moment, where techno-chaos threatens to fragment our identities, the ark is our individuated soul, capable of navigating through rising tides of unconscious forces without capitulating to confusion or despair. On the precipice of a new era. A technological deluge swirls around us, and it echoes the primordial chaos of Tehom. This flood, a product of our own making, is a stark reminder that while chaos can be destructive, it is also a crucible for creativity, regeneration, and transformation. In this turbulent landscape, the feminine emerges as a vital force, a beacon amidst the chaos, guiding us towards a new understanding of what it means to engage with the world around us. Figures like Melusine, the serpentine goddess of water, and Mamiwata, the aquatic spirit revered for her dual nature of allure and danger, represent the hidden potential within chaos. Or even the Pythia of ancient Greece, who channeled the primordial chaos in the form of Apollo's slain serpent to produce prophecy. They embody a feminine principle that does not shy away from chaos, but seeks to channel it, to transform it into something profound. This is the essence of the new Chaoskampf, where the feminine archetype, much like the star-clad woman of the Book of Revelations, does not wield brute force against the dragon, but rather embodies a deeper spiritual authority over it. Unlike the male gods of antiquity, who vanquished chaos through violence, this new archetype invites us to ride the currents of chaos, rather than subdue them or be submerged by them. I like to think of Daenerys Targaryen, a contemporary embodiment of this principle, who does not merely conquer dragons but learns to ride them and uses their fiery chaos, not to destroy and pillage, but to free the slaves. She navigates the tumult of her chaotic powers with a blend of strength and vulnerability. It is through this recognition of our dualities, the light and dark, the chaos and the order, that we may find the key to survival in these chaotic times. When we reflect on this emerging narrative, we see a pressing truth. The technological flood is inevitable, but how we respond to it will determine our fate. To become like the woman of the apocalypse is to channel the Typhonian current, to steer it towards higher and more ethical ends, transforming technology into a tool for collective uplift rather than a means of domination. The feminine mystery of the age of Aquarius calls us to harness intuition and empathy, to embrace the unpredictable nature of existence, and to foster connections that transcend the isolating grip of digital chaos. In the embracing of this feminine Chaoskampf, we find not only a means of survival, but a profound opportunity for rebirth, a chance to emerge from the depths, transformed and whole, ready to rebuild a new world. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I really appreciate all the comments, all of the likes, and all of the people who subscribed from my last video. It really meant a lot, and I'm so glad to see the channel growing and doing so well so early on. If you would like to see that keep happening, then please make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment. All of it really helps me in the algorithm. And if you enjoy what I do and want to help me make more, you can support my work by joining me on Patreon. We're currently running a book club in my Discord server there where we're reading Carl Jung's Ion. I also give tarot readings, so if you would like access to all of that, please feel free to join me on Patreon. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and happy Halloween. See you in another 2 weeks.